Right now, external circumstances hold no weight. What matters is your current felt experience. This is what counts. There's a simplicity to it. The problem in contemporary existence is that you're not actually here. You cannot simply exist alone with yourself. Either you're drifting backward into past events, cataloging everything that went wrong, or you're projecting forward into desired future outcomes. This projection into either temporal direction generates suffering. We could sit here and replay last week's events until anger emerges, or we could sit here and anticipate next week's obligations until anxiety builds. But in this precise moment, no legitimate reason for suffering exists. I don't suffer right now. This is where various practices from different traditions become relevant. Focus on breath, engage internal work, concentrate on movement, attend to sound, anything that anchors you into the present. None of these things happen in the past. There's nothing more real, more direct, more present than something immediate to remind yourself when you're drifting. Return. Because when you practice breathing methods, when I inhale and feel the stream of air entering, in the moment your mind locks onto the breath and follows that line as accurately as possible, this can only occur in the present. You cannot feel the breath of the past. No past breath exists. No future inhalation exists. Whatever you're sensing when you follow the breath stream, that's the present. Breath never happens in the past and never happens in the future. It's pure direct experience. This means it ultimately doesn't matter what you're locking your mind onto as long as it occurs in the present. This is where all these exercises enter. When I talk with you now, I know what I'm saying. When I'm eating, I feel the sensory experience of food. When I'm sleeping, I genuinely try to enjoy the sense of body resting, mind resting, understanding how sleep feels. When I'm at a concert listening, these are all types of practices. When I walk outside and sun shines on my face and people sit at cafes talking, I walk and feel the sunshine, hear the voices, sense my feet moving. I'm here. I know what I'm doing. I know what surrounds me. Being very present, being very aware. As long as your body maintains health, you have thousands of problems. The moment your body gets sick, you have one problem. Respect, care for, and love your body. Nourish yourself in ways that recognize what you have right now as precious. This is primary. The more refined you become about the body, the more access you have to it. Because you become so refined, the mind becomes refined. It becomes more sensitive to the subtle changes happening inside our lifetime. What do you do with that ability to sense subtle changes? You gain vastly better possibility to fine-tune your life. That frequency doesn't sound right. Adjust slightly, now it's okay. It relates to how refined you are in adjusting your life. You're a busy person, perhaps with hobbies, profession, partner, children. The more areas you have, the more aware you need to become. How do all these areas actually affect your overall feeling? If one area needs more attention, you need to sense this. If another is too much, you need to reduce it. It's always a type of balancing. The more life areas you have, the more detailed and refined you must become to balance everything. It's a very fine line sometimes to figure out how to adjust. That means being able to sense the presence of the other person, which means just because somebody talks to you and smiles doesn't mean the energy is right. When I say energy, people sometimes react strangely, claiming it's esoteric. What do you mean by energy? But it's very simple. People can laugh in your face, but you feel it's not real. People can sit there and you can feel they're suffering pretending to smile, but you can feel they're angry. Beyond what we see obviously, there's another area that gives you more real information than the obvious surface you think you see. Smiling doesn't mean friendly. What energy exists behind it? This also means the refinement of you sensing things requires a healthy body first. Then you integrate practices more into daily life. In Tai Chi systems, you have much of what I call body refinement. You refine the body, you automatically refine the mind. It's a very powerful tool to combine two things, body and mind, in the same practice, and translate it into your inside world together with the outside world. Look, if you cannot face yourself 100%, face yourself 20%. When you're comfortable with 20% looking inside, move it up. 50% you do internal work about yourself, your mindset, your feelings, your expectations, the perspectives through which you view the world. 50% you invest in building something externally. Now we're already at 50-50, and from there on, your decision how you continue. Some people go 100% inside and do nothing outside anymore. But for me personally, also not the way I'm currently working. Training also really sensing inside where the gaps are, just really sitting there and asking myself what's the reason I don't enjoy this life at the moment, what's missing, what's the reason right now for you to be unhappy about this life. Simple questions like this. If you don't ask the question, the answer most probably cannot come. What's missing in my life? What do you think you still need? Does it really make sense? Imagine you already had what you're wishing for. How would it change you right now? You have somebody who sees what's going on with you. I can see in which state of mind somebody maybe is. Because my state of mind is somewhere else and not caught in negativity. If there's a connection between you and me or whoever, it's good to have people, friends, family that can pull you out of the hole. One possibility. But these must be people who are not in the same state as the one that needs to come out. Sometimes you talk about people in a low frequency field and people in a higher frequency field. You need to be in a higher frequency to pull the lower one up. Otherwise you don't have somebody able to pull you, which means you maybe need to help yourself, which again relates to step by step. You need to build yourself up, and it's not going to be easy. It's just not going to be easy when it comes to this negativity. Either you find the right methods merged together with your own effort to do something about it, which is the hard way, or you're lucky enough to have friends surrounding, family who at least for the beginning can give you that additional support for you to keep moving. But the question is same as with phone watching habits. Why are you negative at the moment? It's the consequence. Look at the past weeks, months, past life. Who are your friends? What have you spent time in? What did you do? In Asia, sometimes there's something we call cause and effect. Apple seed leads to apple tree, orange seed leads to orange tree. It doesn't happen that you plant apple seed and get orange tree. So that also means right now you're so negative, right now you're caught in the trap. What brought you there? What you're looking at right now is the effect, your negativity. What are the causes that brought this negativity? That also again makes you already a little bit more wise, knowing where maybe to start the adjustment with the causes. Start removing step by step the causes that ultimately led to your depression, your negativity, your current attitude. The person you are right now is like the summary of past actions. Who are you going to be in the future? Everything you do from this moment on, that's the future. I come to the conclusion there's something you can do about your life and something you have no influence on, and this is where there's no other way for me to have trust as a fundamental basis, knowing the ultimate essence is a true essence, a good essence which just tries to meet you. Why do you meet? Because maybe there's a lesson from each and everyone. What the one has you may not yet. So the exchange starts, and all with the one purpose, probably to bring out the best version and best potential about what you can become. I think this is it, because I think this is where the essence flows through your whole being. You do it with your heart, or better, you don't do it at all. You do it with your heart, chances are super high it's fulfilling. Nothing to look for. You do it by thinking, you do it because of rational decision without the heart being involved. It's okay to a certain extent, but you're going to reach the limit. Your life is going to be functional. It's not going to be fulfilling. The message in a way is whatever you do, it's good to integrate the heart, to integrate and ask what is the underlying feeling in your average day. Every human being can be your teacher. The ones you meet on the street, how can you tell it's the one that triggers something inside of you? Because why can they trigger? What does it mean if a strange person you meet on the street triggers something inside of you? A strange person. It just means they have more power about you at the moment than you yourself. How can a stranger do it? That is the magic about finding out what your lesson is to learn. This is like knowing what can I take out from the situation when I am triggered, and this is happening continuously throughout the day. You just observe yourself. Sometimes the email can be your trigger, the phone call can be your trigger, everything can be your teacher. Especially the things that are triggering me and that do not consciously come from me that catch my attention. Meanwhile, if my days are going too good, if I feel too good, sometimes I ask myself, maybe I got stuck, maybe I just stopped growing. Because continuously growing, continuously developing yourself means there must be something in your week, in the months that you are facing, which is a new challenge to you. Because if you are comfortable with everything all the time, what does it mean? It means you're just repeating the past all the time. You are finding yourself inside the comfort zone. That's why it feels comfortable, because you have witnessed it already too many times. It repeated too often, the pattern is inside already. Breaking out, hitting the limit. When you asked about optimistic or pessimistic, actually in the mind already realistic I wanted to say, but both of it, realistically optimistic is a nice one. What I now regard as being my lifetime having this body, I don't know what comes afterwards. The only thing, at least for me, maybe you would say it's a belief, I would say I trust it, I just can't imagine it's zero. I can't imagine that from something right now, zero finished, nothing anymore. In Asia we use these pictures. You look into the sky, you see the cloud. Few hours later the cloud has disappeared. But why? Because the cloud just transformed its essence into rain. It's raining. Then suddenly the rain is gone. Where is it? It's in the ground right now being taken by the plants. The plants take it again afterwards, bringing out the fruits. Would the fruit be there without the cloud in the first place? I don't think so. There's something about something appears but therefore something else disappears. There's a transformation to it. And now to come back to the question, are humans ultimately good or ultimately bad? It depends on how far does the connection trace back which made their coming into this world right now possible. If we both would look into the mirror right now, just look at the shape of our face and then compare it to a picture of our grand ancestors, you would definitely see there are some similarities even though I never met them in person. They were all dead already when I was alive many generations back. What it means for me is that there's something which I, in the moment I was born, had in the information of my probably DNA, I don't know how you call it, which traces back to many generations in the past. Did I have influence on how my nose looks, how my eyes look? No. I was placed into this earth based on many constellations that were determined already before I become conscious of it. But only having body doesn't make us human. Sometimes we say body and mind, body and soul, body and spirit. So the body we have. Where does the spirit, the soul and the mind, the essence of this come from? And there I also think it traces back dependent on what is collected inside your soul, inside your spirit, inside your essence. This is then ultimately determining are you good or are you bad. This is what I meant. So it's hard to say. Some people are maybe born with the essence of good and other people they carry another essence, an evil spirit. I don't know. There should be nothing inside a human's mind that is able to drive you if you don't consciously want it. Doesn't matter what it is. No matter what type of drive it is, no matter if it's an addiction, if it's your partner, even to be driven by something simply means life is not in your hands in that moment. But in order to get the full potential out from you, it should be in your hands. That's the whole point about it. The whole point about why training, why disciplining is in order to get the full power and potential into your own hands. You are the one who consciously actually wants to build your life. I don't want to outsource it. Therefore, I also don't want that my life is being driven by anything else except by my conscious decision. Therefore, is it a weakness when you are being driven by it? I would consider it like this. But why is it there in the first place? Well, maybe to exactly display to you where your limitation is right now. What are the areas for you with the highest possibility for breakthrough? I'm actually more or less just preparing to get more and more to the unknown. I have no concrete idea where it's going to lead. But it just really came recently to my life to stop the planning. I planned the first half of my lifetime. The first 40 years was full of planning, full of ideas that I tried to put into the world where I think I have to put something into the world. Now it's about balance. Now maybe it's time where I don't do the planning. Oh wait, there is simply this term of energy. Energy by nature you cannot see it. Once energy starts to focus or concentrate itself in certain amounts, things start to take form. That means everything that has a form, everything that starts manifesting is a type of condensed locked energy. How does the energy get locked? How does the energy condense? Energy follows intention or thoughts. This is where the energy goes. What you think about, this is the nourishment of the energy. You continuously place your intention in some direction, your thought in some direction. From what I just explained before, it's absolutely possible that this is the reason why things suddenly start to manifest and pop up visibly in your life, because it's a lot of thinking power that went there which time over time started collecting, condensing so much energy, so much lifetime of yours that it comes. In which direction can you now use this understanding? This ultimate creativity of the mind, this ultimate possibility of us humans being able to create something with the mind that at the moment actually doesn't even exist yet. Somebody must have seen something in the mind before even it was built. Everything starts here. You can use it to serve humanity or use the creative power, creating all types of threats, horror scenarios, conflicts that are also possible to come. This is now the question: for what are you going to use the power of the mind? Congratulations, that the first very important step you already have achieved, which is you can see yourself. You have realized that issue about yourself. You're able to see it. You are able to identify it, that it's present. What? If you don't know where the problem is located, you cannot fix it. So we know where it is. Also, in the way of how you expressed it exactly, there is something about habit going on. Habit meaning a continuous action which in a way always repeats over and over again. Something that repeats over and over again means there is some type of continuity or conditioning that took place. Who and what conditioned us to have these habits? People have different answers: the work, the society. Why is it you follow upon this trend or whatever it is? Something is conditioning you. You have been conditioned by something. By what? Find out by what is it. Your friends that you spend time around with all the time because they do it all the time, so you took over their habits as well. That means number one is identifying from where are your habits coming from. And now there are two ways. Get rid of the habit. By replacing it with the habits you want to have. We humans are habitual beings. Meaning what you do often, this you become. So if you want to cultivate something, let's just call it healthy right now, a more healthy lifestyle, that just means you need to do more healthy things on a regular basis. If you want to get rid of the habit of looking at the phone and the screen, what does it mean? You have to reduce that type of habit. How to do it? Minimize the amount of doing exactly that. You minimize what you don't want to have in your lifetime and you start to increase what you would like to replace it with. Sometimes people can't do it by themselves. What to do? This is why we have organizations, retreat centers, or things like this, workshops, seminars. These are always places where you get that support sometimes if you can't do it by yourself. I think the worst thing that could happen in this lifetime is that one day I get old, sit somewhere, look back at my life and say I wasted my lifetime. This is maybe also related to fear, really wasting my lifetime, wasting the possibilities that have been given to me. But out of whatever reason you were blind, out of whatever reasons you were distorted and you missed it. This is something which is really like regretting. Therefore, very carefully, I started to ask myself how to avoid, how to minimize the risk that this day could come like this. And therefore, I became very aware and very careful also where I spend my energy. Is there some ideas how can I better channel it? How can I make use of the potential that I have? I think one way is the things that I'm trying to share with you because this is what I see. But on the other side, you can't have everything in this world. If you commit to one direction, sometimes it's not possible to at the same time be exactly as committed to another direction. Times are changing. The universe is changing. Ideas are changing. Preferences are changing. Everything is changing. Humans are changing. I am changing. If you don't cultivate it, the master will not come out from you. It is you yourself who needs to do the work. You do the work with the right methods and that master will come out. You are going to be your own master. You don't need to live the life for anybody else. Live it to the fullest possibilities of what you are capable of. This is what I call self-mastery. Full responsibility about your own life. Since I entered this room, I'm here. My mind is not fluctuating. I don't think about what I'm going to do later, what I'm going to do tomorrow. At the moment, what matters to me is the only thing I know. What is real is this conversation of you sitting opposite of me. This is what matters for me. People can feel if you are with them or not with them. I think this is also a type of respect of knowing our time on this earth is finite. Let's respect. Let's give the necessary respect to the people you are spending your time with. One way of expressing this is by being present, because otherwise the question is just why would you spend anywhere where you are if you don't really want to be there? If you think it's a waste of time to be somewhere, this is why you're drifting off. Why are you there in the first place? Then this idea of what is called be in the here and now, be in the present moment. What does it actually express? It expresses alignment. And that's what very often may be missing, alignment inside of yourself. You think about something, what you really want. You think about what you really want. But your words say something differently. And your actions are also again a complete other area. So you think this, you say that, and you do this. And then it's like, okay, 3 areas. How should the power of the universe know what you want if you for yourself are already separated into 3 beings? But if what you carry in your heart, carry in your mind, speak out and act upon it, if all these three things are together, it's super easy for the universe or however you call it to understand this is what he or she really wants. Here it is. Because there's no doubt about it. Because it's pure, because it's direct, because there's no disturbance, no interference. It's clear. This is where I think this power comes from. And this clarity of body, mind, thought, word, action, this you can only observe about yourself in the present moment. And this is why I think it matters in a way. If there is some influence you have upon your life consciously, then I think the best timing to do the adjustments is now, is the present moment. If there's something to adjust about yourself, to take your life into your hands, it can only happen now. What emerges from sustained presence practice is recognition that time itself operates differently than we habitually perceive. Past and future exist as mental constructs, stories we tell ourselves that feel substantial but lack the immediacy of direct experience. When you anchor yourself in present sensory input, whether breath, bodily sensation, sound, or visual field, you're not escaping reality but actually entering it more fully. The habitual mental chatter that dominates most people's waking hours functions as a kind of trance state, a departure from what's actually occurring in favor of what occurred or might occur. This distinction between presence and mental abstraction carries practical consequences. When you're genuinely here, your decision-making improves because you're responding to actual conditions rather than projected fears or imagined scenarios. Your relationships deepen because people sense authentic attention versus performative engagement. Your physical health often improves because you notice subtle signals from your body before they escalate into serious problems. The body constantly communicates through sensation, but most people have learned to override these signals in favor of mental narratives about what they should be experiencing. The refinement process works through feedback loops. As you become more present, you notice more. As you notice more, you can make finer adjustments. As you make finer adjustments, your life becomes more precisely calibrated to your actual values rather than inherited assumptions about what life should look like. This creates a virtuous cycle where presence breeds awareness, awareness breeds choice, and choice breeds alignment between your inner experience and outer expression. The challenge with presence lies not in understanding the concept but in sustaining the practice against overwhelming cultural momentum in the opposite direction. Every screen, notification, and media stream pulls attention away from immediate experience toward abstracted content. Every worry about productivity or achievement pulls attention away from the process of living toward evaluation of outcomes. Every comparison with others pulls attention away from your actual experience toward imagined hierarchies of status or worth. Presence requires actively swimming against these currents, repeatedly choosing immediate experience over mental elaboration. The relationship between body and mind and presence practice reveals their fundamental inseparability. You cannot genuinely separate physical sensation from mental experience. When you attend closely to breath, you're not just noticing mechanical movement of air but the felt quality of being alive in this moment. When you notice tension in your shoulders, you're not just identifying muscular contraction but becoming aware of held patterns of stress, worry, or protection that manifest physically. The body stores experience in tissue, and presence practice creates the conditions for that stored experience to be felt, processed, and released. The question about what you're missing in life operates on multiple levels. On the surface, it seems to ask about external circumstances, possessions, or achievements. Investigated more deeply, it asks about internal states, qualities of being, or capacities for experience. The most profound inquiry asks whether anything is actually missing or whether the sense of lack itself represents a perceptual distortion created by comparing present reality to imagined alternatives. This doesn't mean settling for circumstances that genuinely don't serve you, but it means distinguishing between genuine needs and manufactured desires generated by comparison, advertising, or cultural programming. The frequency metaphor captures something important about subtle attunement. Musical instruments require fine-tuning to sound right. Human lives require similar calibration. But unlike instruments that have a single correct tuning, human lives involve multiple domains that must be balanced dynamically. Work, relationships, health, creative expression, rest, each area has legitimate needs that change over time. The skill lies in sensing when one area has drifted out of balance and making adjustments before the imbalance creates crisis. This requires the refined awareness that presence practice develops. The observation that comfortable days might indicate stagnation challenges common assumptions about well-being. Growth requires encountering edges, situations that stretch current capacity and demand new responses. If every day feels comfortable, it likely means you're operating entirely within established patterns, never venturing into territory that would require learning or adaptation. This doesn't mean manufacturing unnecessary difficulty, but it means remaining open to challenges that emerge naturally and recognizing them as opportunities for development rather than problems to avoid. The teaching about cause and effect points toward a pragmatic approach to change. If you don't like your current results, trace backward to the causes that produced them. This moves you out of victim mentality where life happens to you and into agency where you recognize your participation in creating present circumstances. Not everything is within your control, but far more is influenced by your choices than most people acknowledge. The gap between influence and control often creates confusion. You may not control outcomes, but you influence them through your choices about where to place attention, energy, and commitment. The distinction between functional and fulfilling life cuts to essential questions about purpose and meaning. You can construct a life that works mechanically, where all the practical pieces fit together, but still experience emptiness if that structure doesn't align with what genuinely matters to you. The heart integration mentioned isn't sentimentality but recognition that authentic engagement requires more than rational calculation. When heart and mind align, when you care deeply about what you're doing, effort transforms from obligation into expression. This doesn't mean every moment feels pleasant, but it means the difficulty itself feels meaningful rather than pointless.